Hello guys and welcome back to another figure review. It's been a while since I've done one of these, but we're getting ready to get back into the game. So today I'm reviewing the Friends of the 13th Doctor B&M set. As you can see, the packaging's pretty basic. We have the title of the set, Friends of the 13th Doctor Collector Figure Set, and the 5.5 inch 14cm scale collector series, plus the 5+ character options logo and the limited edition collector's sticker. Just on the side here we have a little sort of diagram of the TARDIS along with the Doctor Who logo. And of course we have a big display window which displays the three figures, Yaz, Ryan and Graham. On the side we have a little sticker that says includes Yaz Khan, Ryan Sinclair and Graham O'Brien. On the back we have photos of the three figures that don't look exactly how the figures look in the packaging, as I'm pretty sure Ryan's pants are a slightly different colour and Yaz's shoes are a slightly different colour. Other than that, it's a pretty similar, same design that we've seen on the rest of the packaging. So initially, taking a look at the three figures as we've seen them out of their box, it's clear that this pack is instantly an example of character options reusing old sculpts. But we'll go further into detail with that. So, first of all, let's look at Yaz. First of all, taking a look at Yaz's face sculpt, it's very clear that this does look like Mandip Gill. You can tell that it's her in the face. Often with character options figures, it's quite oftenly known that actually they don't look anything like the actor that plays the character. But this, I will say, is a fantastic example of how Mandip Gill looks, and is well represented within the figure. Of course, her hair is the typical space bun kind of pigtails that she has quite regularly within the show. Moving down, she has this cool leopard print blouse shirt and this really nice brown leather jacket. As you can see, there's a lot of sort of leather pressing detail within the jacket, which is unusual to find on such a detailed figure. Moving down to look at her pants, she has a really nicely detailed belt buckle and just some standard black jeans. Other than that, there's not much really to say about her trousers. And at last we have these nice bright red shoes. Now I'm not actually sure whether Yaz ever wears red boots within the show, as they do have a slight heel on them, which surprisingly make her stand up quite well as an action figure, but I can't imagine that being something a companion would be running in all the time. I'm pretty sure Yaz usually wears pumps or trainers or something of that kind. So if I was to rate this figure of Yaz based on its looks out of 10, I'd probably give it a 10 out of 10. It's a really good lookalike and a good looking figure to have of a new, fresh companion. Something we don't seem to be getting these days from character options. So let's take a look at the articulation. So in terms of head movement, Yaz's head is supposed to move 360, but of course it is hindered by her really rubber neck. Luckily it's quite flexible, but it pretty much just turns from side to side. Moving on to her arms, she does swivel her arm 360 degrees up, but it is slightly hindered by the hair. Her bicep can do 360, and she does have a 90-degree bend at the elbow, as well as a slight hand movement. One thing to note is that this figure does not have ball-jointed articulation, which is something that fans and collectors wanted for a while, but it seems that it's still not possible. We did get some in the later Matt Smith action figure series, but it seems they've gone back to their original plan. Moving down, she can do 360 swivel at the waist, but of course with figures like this you have to be careful how often you do that, as it does loosen the joint. Her legs can do the splits slightly. In fact, I'm pretty sure she can do the full splits. Yes, she can do the full splits. She can swivel 360 degrees at the thigh, a 90-degree bend at the knee, and there's no foot articulation. Overall, I'm going to give Yaz an 8 out of 10, mainly because she has such good detail, but there is a slight lack of articulation. For example, I would have liked to have seen maybe her hair less restricted, so she could have had it in a ponytail behind her head. The jacket could be less restricted, and she could have ball-jointed arms, but that's not something I'm desperately in need for, and it is a great addition to the set. So let's take a look at Ryan Sinclair. So initially looking at Ryan, there's some kind of familiarity to him. Maybe the coat's recognisable. To me, I'd say this coat is the exact same figure sculpt as the Nick Cutter Primeval figure. Of course, those figures were also developed by Character Options. It seems to be a trend that within these cheaper B&M sets that are available for collectors, and let's be honest, the only things available to collect currently, it seems that they do have a reputation for reusing old sculpts. But nonetheless, let's take a look at Ryan Sinclair. Initially looking at his face, honestly, I don't see Tosin Cole at all. There's some slight resemblance, but other than that, there's not much of a look-alike. If I saw this figure out of its box at a car boot sale, I wouldn't say this was a Ryan Sinclair figure. I'd probably think it was just an extra from Primeval or something. Honestly, it looks nothing like him. I mean, there's some slight resemblance in terms of the shape of the face and the hair length, but other than that, it doesn't look too much like Tosin Cole, and so it's a little bit impossible to say this is a Ryan Sinclair figure. Moving down, it's obvious that this is definitely a reused sculpt. I believe it is the Nick Cutter figure that does look like this, but if I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. I do know that there is a Primeval figure that does have a coat like this. If it's not a Primeval figure, it's another Doctor Who figure. There's definitely an action figure that has this exact sculpt. And it's my main problem with the set, the reusing of sculpts. I'd have liked to have seen Ryan in an outfit he's actually worn. I can't think of a time where Ryan's really worn an outfit like this. I mean, would he have wore this in the Ghost Monument in the blazing heat? I doubt it. So we're getting variations of the Doctor in the red jacket, in the red t-shirt and the lighter blue t-shirt, and with the bum pack, but I don't see why we can't get other sort of variations of the companions. I'd love another figure of Yaz, and I'm sure going into Series 13 we will be getting those as they come. But there's not much detail on the coat. There's a few pocket details, a few creases, and then some dodgily painted silver buttons. Other than that, they've done a pretty good job with the paintwork. Moving down, bright orange pants. I mean, is he the artist from Balamory that wears orange and lives in the orange house that I forgot the name of? No, he's not. So why the bright orange pants? If I can find a photo of Ryan wearing bright orange pants, I'll put it on the screen. If I can't, Ryan has never wore pants like this. Why are we getting given figures where the character is dressed in a completely different outfit to what he's ever wore in the show? Other than that, I'd say that actually it is quite a good colour. It's more of a peachy colour when you see it in person. There is some slight sort of splash stains on the pants, as if to suggest maybe he's been running, but other than that, it looks very cheaply painted. There's not much detail and not much sculpting. Moving down to the trainers, these could possibly be the worst shoes I have ever seen on an action figure. I mean, it's just a white lump of plastic joined to the foot that they've just painted block white. Now, you see this wood that I've got the figure stood on? Eventually, this is going to be white. Had I have painted it already for this review, you wouldn't be able to see his feet, and it would be very, very annoying. Overall, I'm not happy with the look of the shoe. It looks badly painted, and to be honest, it needs a new paint job. If there's any custom people out there that have been doing it, good on you, because I might have to do the same, because this is an horrendous paint job. Okay, so overall for detail on this figure, I'm going to have to give him a 3 out of 10, because it looks nothing like the actor. It's a reused sculpt, and the paint job's just shoddy. So let's take a look at the articulation. Taking a look at the head articulation, his head does move slightly, but it's hindered by the coat, so there's not much articulation there. Actually, looking at him from this angle, it does have a look at Tosin Cole, but not good enough in terms of likeness to the actor. Moving down to the arm joint, of course, he does do 360 at the shoulder, 360 at the bicep, and a 90-degree bend at the elbow. There's also some slight hand articulation. And we'll also just point out that this is actually the same hand they give to the Doctor. You'll notice that this is the same kind of hand sculpt that they give the Doctor to hold a sonic screwdriver. Moving down, he doesn't seem to have much waist articulation. I think it's because it's hindered by the coat. His leg does kick out, and he can slightly do the splits, but again, he's hindered by the coat. He can do a 360 thigh swivel, and a 90-degree bend at the knee. Well, 45 degrees really. And there's no foot articulation. But overall for this figure, I'm going to give him a 4 out of 10. Mainly because, okay, there's some detail. Maybe he has a slight lookness from the side of Tosin Cole, but the detail's pretty lacking. I mean, it's a plain blue shirt he's got under it. They've just painted a little bit of a black square on the mould blue to give it that effect. The articulation's pretty limited. The hand they've used is the same one they give the Doctor for a sonic screwdriver. Yeah, 4 out of 10, not good. Not good. Okay guys, so now we've moved on to Graham O'Brien. Weirdly, I don't know if you guys, but whenever I hear the word Graham O'Brien, all I can think of is Sharon D. Clarke saying Graham O'Brien in the first episode, The Woman Who Fell to Earth. I don't know why, it's just whenever you say his name, it's just, I think it's so Yorkshirely said, I don't know. But in terms of looking like the actor, it has a slight resemblance of Bradley Walsh, who plays Graham O'Brien. However, it looks more like him when he was a younger rather than how he looks today, and as the character. But regardless, let's take a look at the detail. There's actually some quite good detail in the face, some nice sculpting to it. You can tell that it is a fresh sculpt that they've given to the head. It is of course the same one that they used for the official Graham O'Brien figure, part of the sort of 13th Doctor's Wave 1 action figure sets, but the difference being that that figure had a grey coat on, and this one has like a browny burgundy. For some reason the BBC, whenever they're doing two different versions, they always go for a grey look and a brown look. I don't know why. Rory Williams, BBC shop exclusive, was a grey figure with like a blue, navy blue jacket, and this and the other one was like a reddish with a dark blue sort of vest over the top. I don't know why, it must be their colour scheme, but let's take a look further at the detail. Okay, so first of all, taking a look at its hair, there's actually a nice white detail onto it. I love the fact that it's got a brown onto it and then a nice little white wash over it. Moving on to his jacket, again, it's a reused sculpt. There is a Primeval figure, I do have it, I have had him in my figure adventures before. I can't remember the character's name, but this is the exact same figure sculpt that they used for that, minus a few paint changes. It's identical, and the sleeves give it away. Maybe if they didn't have the sleeves on the bottom of the jacket, maybe they gave him a different sleeve, it'd look a little bit nicer, maybe I could forgive it. But again, it's a reused sculpt, and the other version of Graham O'Brien figure also had this exact same sculpt, so I understand why they've reused it here, but in terms of the fact that it's not a brand new body sculpt for the actor, what are you doing, character options? But in terms of detail, if we're just going to ignore the fact that it's reused, there's a nice zipper. It'd be nice to maybe see that painted a little bit silver. I like the shirt that he's got underneath. It's a bit shoddily painted. It looks like it's, I don't know, it's some kind of checked thing. It looks like a checked t-shirt. As far as I'm aware, Graham usually wears a checked shirt rather than a t-shirt, so maybe we could have seen a little bit of a collar under there. It'd have just been a little bit of extra detail that'd give you more bang for your buck, or whatever you want to say. Moving down, let's take a look at his trousers. Okay, so his trousers are a sort of grey colour, but they do look slightly blue on the camera. Yeah, I mean, there's not much detail. There's a few sort of creases on it, a little bit of a pocket on one side. Yeah, other than that, it's a pretty plain grey looking trousers. Last, we have some black boots. They're just some standard sculpted black boots that are painted black, but they do look a lot better than the white ones that we saw on the Ryan Sinclair figure. So that's all for detail on Graham O'Brien. Let's take a look at the articulation. Moving on to the head, he can do a 360 turn, but it is hindered by the coat, so I wouldn't recommend it. It'll also probably cause some paint scratch. His arm can do 360 at the shoulder, but again, not ball jointed. He can do a 360 swivel at the bicep and a 90-degree bend at the elbow, as well as 360 at the wrist. Moving down to his waist articulation, he can do a 360 swivel at the waist, but I wouldn't recommend it because it does loosen the joint. His legs can kick out, he can do the splits, he can kick forward and slightly backwards, he can do a 360 swivel at the thigh, and a 90-degree bend at the knee. Overall, what would I give this Graham O'Brien action figure? I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. It is a good likeness, it's very similar, it is just a re-release, repainted version of the one they already released, but it is nice to see all three companions in a set together. So for that it gets a 7 out of 10, but I would have liked some more detail and a new body sculpt. It'd be nice to get a slightly different variant. So overall, what am I going to give this set? Well, I'm going to have to give it a 6 out of 10. Yes, if you can pick it up cheap, it's probably worth the money. I think I managed to pick it up from B&M, a place in England, for around about, I think I paid £20 for it. I wouldn't recommend it be charged for £20. Yes, you get 3 figures, but they're not very well detailed. They're quite cheaply made. Quite frankly, I think it deserves to be about £12, maybe £10. But then again, normally these figures to buy on their own, for example, to buy Graham, the other variant, on his own, it is £15, which is extortionate to say that action figures used to be £10 when I used to actively buy them. So it's a bit of a shame to see the price leap so much, but at the end of the day, you're paying more for less. The only actual decent figure in this is Yaz, and if you're only buying it for Yaz, then I wouldn't buy it. I'd see if you can buy her on eBay or online separately. If you're going to buy it because you want the 3 companions in a set, then buy it. It's a shame that the figure of Ryan is so bad, because quite frankly, this is probably the only figure they're ever going to release of him, as of course Graham and Ryan have now left the show as of 2021. But that's all for today's video, guys. If you've enjoyed it, please leave a like down below and leave a comment to let me know if you have any ideas of figures you'd like to see reviewed on the channel. Thanks for watching today's video. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any new reviews. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye for now, guys. Goodbye.